Hello everyone! So, as I'm recording this, it's now 2 days before the newest DreamWorks movie, The Wild Robot, comes out in my area, and I'm actually really excited to see it. I think the animation looks beautiful, I think the story looks really interesting, so yeah. In this video, kind of like my Garfield video, I'm gonna start with my predictions for the movie, and then it's gonna transition to me to after I watch the movie to do my review. In the background, I'm presenting a speed drawing of Roz the robot, and now I guess it's time to just start listing my predictions. Also, I have not read any of the books, so if anything happens in the book that correlate with my predictions, I apologize. So first, there could be two options of how the movie could end. A happy ending or a bittersweet ending. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a happy ending, and you might be thinking, well, duh, it's a DreamWorks movie, of course it's going to have a happy ending. Well, I had thought that it could be a bittersweet ending because, spoiler for the book, this is the only thing I know from the first book, Roz gets separated from the animals at the end. Perhaps DreamWorks is going to take a different route from the book and have her stay at the island at the end instead. An idea of a bittersweet ending is that Roz is forced to leave for some reason, but the animals are still okay, and they all remember her and honor her. But like I said, it's very likely that they would do a happy ending, especially with one of the moments seen in the trailer. Personally, I would really just like to have a happy ending. Okay, so second and third predictions. I don't know if this happens in the book, but there was this one clip released where Roz finds Bright Bill, but at the beginning of the clip, the setting looked kind of sad and gloomy, so I then thought, wait, did she kill his mom by accident? And then she holds a piece of an egg, and so I then realized, oh, it's not just his mom, which makes me think that, is Bright Bill gonna find out about that? Is he gonna find out that his adoptive mother did that by accident? A way that I could see that happening is that perhaps an animal saw the incident and told him. That's the closest outcome that I can think of right now. So then, if that happens, will he resent Roz for a while, and then help her escape from Vantra? Vantra, that's the villain's name, I think. From what I've seen from Roz and Bright Bill's mother and son relationship, it seems really wholesome, and if they do have a falling out, then it's most likely going to be really sad. If he does find out about it, I hope that he will understand that it was an accident, and he wouldn't try to resent Roz too much about it. But anyways, another prediction. Perhaps Vantra will find out Roz is at the island by a signal. What if the signal is caused by something that Roz is using constantly at the island when she doesn't know that it's alerting, I assume, the factory where she was made? And that's why the robots are able to find her? I have a feeling that will make a pretty, I'm not gonna say big twist, but at least a twist. Roz is having such a good time here, and the reason why she was taken away is because of her items and her signals. Alright, last two predictions. The first one's kind of small, but I still felt the need to put it in here. So this might seem pretty likely, but I think a robot and an animal battle could take place. But if the robots lose and Roz gets to stay, they just leave. And it's all like, oh okay, we're just gonna forget about you now. We have multiple robots at our factory anyways. So yeah. And perhaps the robots just leave the island alone, Vantra included. Speaking of Vantra, here's my second prediction. I don't know why, but Roz and Vantra, to me, from the trailers, kind of give off a sister vibe. Am I the only one? Because, maybe that's why Vantra was so quick to find her. Maybe Vantra realizes that Roz is gone and she's like, oh, I gotta quickly find her so that us robots can do our jobs properly. I don't know, that's just a little idea. Anyways, those are all my predictions, and now you will hear me 2 days into the future, as of now, where I have finished seeing the movie. Okay guys, so I have just arrived back at my house and I've had some time to, calm down a little bit, so yeah. I'm now gonna be doing my review for The Wild Robot, and I'm probably gonna go on a whole bunch of rants because, oh my god, this movie did not need to go this hard. It's so good. It is so good. I cried 3 times. I don't think I've ever cried that much in a movie, honestly, in the theater, watching it for the first time. So for this review, there are going to be spoilers. I cried when Bright Bill was going on his migration, and the moment in the ship where Roz and Bright Bill, finally said that they loved each other as mother and son, and it was so cute. I think that was really good moment in the movie. And also the ending where Roz is forced to leave, but Bright Bill still visits her and she still remembers her, and it's so good! But anyways, enough about my sapping moments. So now it's time to get to the actual review of this. The first thing that I did notice about the movie, the very beginning of the movie has very bright flashes, like extremely bright. I would have wished there was sort of like a way to put like a flash warning, because it was bright. It was bright. I had to look away. Like, it was, I feel like the brightness could have been toned down a little bit. I get that was for like, you know, like the tone and the setting, and, you know, to get people invested to what's gonna happen next. But I don't know. I feel like it could have been toned down just a little bit. But next, the story. I think the overall idea of a robot being in the wilderness, where it's an environment they're not really programmed to live in, there are many opportunities of how the story could go. The turns that the story takes throughout the movie is really interesting to me. Like when Roz accidentally killed Bright Bill's family, and how she's raising Bright Bill. We get to see him grow up and go on his migration. Also, the whole conflict with Vontra and the other robots. You feel like you kind of know what happens at the end of the movie, but then it just kind of takes a turn to be like, oh, Roz is forced to go back. Like I feel like that was such an interesting turn, because it isn't usually like the, oh, like it's all a happy ending thing. Like, it's more bittersweet, and I think that's what makes this movie more unique. I actually think it's really interesting how the animals at first just were either disliked Roz or they were scared of her. That really makes you see the difference of how their relationship is with her from the beginning to the end, because at the end you can see how much they grew to bond with her and to really care about her, especially when she helped them in the winter. Just that overall scene of them helping each other, helping all the animals, no matter if they're prey or predator. I think it was also such a good message of like, everyone should help each other, no matter who that person is. You should always treat that person as an equal, and I think that is so sweet. And oh my god, like the whole movie is just being like jumbled up into my brain of like different things I want to say. I just overall think the story was so interesting and just also really fun, just really good overall. It's probably the same plot line as in the book, but like, of course, in a longer format, because I did hear that there are 3 books in the Wild Robot series. So yeah, I might check those out, because this movie, like I said, it's really good, so I might check out the books. Now, the moments with Bright Bill and Roz, I did find their relationship really sweet. Personally, to me, there were a few like cliche moments, but they still had different elements in them that separated them from the rest of mother and son relationships in other movies. For example, when Roz tells Bright Bill that she's always going to remember him, because if she hears him, she will, and it's just so sweet. And also at the end, when they meet up, it's just so good. It's just so beautiful. I'm sorry if I'm sounding like a broken record right now, but like, there's not enough words that can describe how much I love this. Also, baby Bright Bill, adorable. I also really like Bright Bill's character. Like, at first he kind of seemed like, not quirky, but like, you kind of can tell that he's an outsider, but he's also still goofy and fun and nice, and he's always willing to talk to people, so yeah, I like that. Now with Fink, at first I just kind of thought of him as like the sneaky troublemaker that's just gonna betray Roz in one way or another. But in the end, he actually did not. He stuck by Roz's side the entire time, and I applaud him for that. Good job, Fink. But you can still tell that Fink at first wasn't really willing to commit to the lessons, because, you know, of all the lessons that he was teaching Roz about parenting the Gosling. But he could still understand that this Gosling is a child, a newborn, and so he's still willing to give food to it, so he's not completely ignorant in the beginning. Mostly because he was using the lessons that his mom taught him. To me, he kind of gives off like an uncle slash family friend to Bright Bill. His mom must have hated him. Like, she must have been teaching him all the wrong things, cause first she taught him how to swim by just dumping him in the water, and I think it was her that taught him that kindness was not a survival skill, which, come on, it has been proven now that that is not the case, ma'am. Also, we don't know what happens to Fink's parents in the movie, probably because of the storm and also because the animals had that survival instinct that, oh, it's all for themselves, we shouldn't care about anyone else kind of thing. Fink's character I actually started to like over time. At first I kind of hated him because he was literally willing to eat Brightbill, but then I think at first he was pretending to like to help Roz with parenting Brightbill, but then over time he soon to care for the both of them. And I think that's really good character development, because not all the things that he learned as a kid were definite to be, oh, this is how you survive, this is how you live. He's learning literally from a robot species outside of this island. But yeah, I think that Fink's story is pretty interesting. I apologize if I went on a whole rant on Fink. I just think that he's, like, out of the three, like, main characters, I just think his story just kind of personally interests me the most. Like, there are a few things I would even like to know more about. Now, with Roz, I think she was a really good protagonist, to be honest. Like, she does have her, like, flaws, but also her really, like, good skill sets as the robot. And also, she always means well. And I think that take on her character is really interesting to see how that could correlate with all the other animals and how they were learned how to live. There were so many sequences in this movie that I just love so much, like when she is building the house and when she's helping Brightbill to fly and she gets a trainer, when she's saving him. When she decides to stay on the island to see Brightbill again, like that is, like she's such a good character, she's so nice, and I just love that. And I think it was really sad for her to see like all the robots that have died during the crash of arriving on the island. Like, I'm surprised she did not get like so traumatized from seeing that, because she basically saw a bunch of dead bodies on the edge. In the trailer, it definitely looked like Vontra was the one that was like sucking information out of her, but no, it was one of the other robots that was brought to the island. It really felt like Roz was longing for company of another robot. And it was really sad to realize that she can't save all the robots, and when that one died in front of her, she couldn't really do anything about them. Which kind of leads me to wonder if those robots were able to find the leftover ones and fix them up at the factory. And I think it was really mature of Roz to realize that, oh hey, these robots are going to get me if I stay here. And so she is forced to leave, and I'll talk about my predictions later on in this video. But I think it was such an interesting take on this movie. Like, you would think, oh, she's gonna stay on the island with the animals and live happily ever after. But with her leaving and being in the factory, it shows that even though she still cares for the island and the animals in it, she still has her responsibilities and she'll always complete her task. But just because her task is far away, it doesn't mean that she can't assist it. And I think that was a really sweet ending. Also, the timeline of seeing how Roz at first was kind of, not gonna say neglecting, but she was kind of ignoring Brightbill because of course she didn't know she was going to be a mother yet, just thinking that he's just a temporary task that she'll quickly do. But over time, feeling a new experience of care that she never experienced before, it was so sweet. And also I don't think it was rushed. Like, this movie, it takes place over a couple of months, so she had a lot of time to grow fond of Brightbill, and seeing soon over time that he was not just a task to her. Like, she is part of his family now, and I think that is such a great outcome. Okay, now for the animation. I think the animation is beautiful. I absolutely love it. It reminds me of like sort of like a watercolor thing, especially with the skies. I think there were a few times where I could kind of see like paint strokes, but I feel like that works with the aesthetic. And also with the leaves, like for example, Finks's bed, I could see like, if you have a close-up shot of it, you can see individual leaves like as different colors, and it was so cute. It's a really nice design of how they drew the nature looks. I remember one interview where they said that they took inspiration from Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and I can see that. Like when they had the explosions and backgrounds, I can definitely see the inspiration by that, and I think it works. I think it works with this movie very well. Now the predictions that I got wrong and right. So the first one that I can think of now is Roz's and Bright Bill's relationship. In the movie, Bright Bill does find out that Roz was the one that accidentally killed his family. And he does resent her. And of course that is understandable because Roz was the closest thing he had to a family, and to find out that she did that, of course, was going to be heartbreaking. But the way that he had him forgive her, it didn't feel rushed. Instead of it being like, oh, Bright Bill needs to go on migration, I'll just teach him. And then Bright Bill's just, like, later on in the montage, it's like, oh, okay, she really cares for me. I forgive her now. It took him a long while for him to truly understand her side of the story and to start thinking of forgiving her. I think that way of them to help fix the relationship is not only more realistic, but I think it's more interesting to see because you're not entirely sure how the outcome is going to turn out yet. Next, as for my favorite character, I actually can't pick one. When I was seeing the trailers, I thought it was going to be Fink. Like, no offense to Fink, he's a great character. But after watching the movie, like I said, I can't pick which one I like. Like, all their personalities are really good, and they all have different character arcs, but it still works. Also, their personalities are fun. I'm mostly talking about Roz, Bright Bill, and Fink here because Vantra, she sucks. I'm not saying sucks as a character, but sucks as a person or as a robot. She's not good. Also, with Vantra, I think her as a villain was pretty interesting. I do think she came a little bit too late. I felt like there could have been a little bit more build up to Vantra, but you know, that's kind of nitpicking a little bit, probably with more hinting at her in the factory, like probably showing a silhouette or a quick picture of her or in the background of the video. I feel like that would have been interesting to see, like in the background in case you're watching it, to be like, oh, there's Vantra, she's gonna be the villain, like that sort of thing, but that is just a personal preference. Also, remember what I said when I felt like Roz and Vantra kind of had like a sister vibe? Yeah, I don't really feel it anymore. They definitely are rivals to me in my eyes now. I can definitely see that, like, no, they should not have anything to do with each other. They are completely different. Like, I was mad at Vantra a few times. Like, girl, you can clearly see she belongs on the island. You have multiple other Rozes. Just leave her there and everything will be fine. Now, the comedy. I'm surprised of how good the comedy is. There were multiple jokes throughout the movie that I genuinely laughed at. It was so good. But if you want to know where the main source of the comedy comes from, it's the possums. If you're watching the movie, get ready for what the possums are gonna say. But yeah, the possums were the best part of the comedy in this movie for me. But yeah, the possums were like the joke when baby Bright Bill literally gets flung into the air and gets captured by an eagle. I remember I was literally just like almost screaming laughing. Also, around the end of the movie, I forgot which animal it was, but like he was really debating on who to hug during like the animal truce scene. It was either a porcupine or a skunk. I think the comedy in this movie really helps to gather more viewers to watch this movie. It's really made for everyone. But even with the comedy, I'm really glad that there are scenes where there's not a lot of dialogue, because in a lot of kids movies there are scenes where characters would like explain what they're doing, what they're going to do towards the audience. And me as an older viewer, I kind of find that a little bit annoying because you're kind of treating like the viewer can't really think what emotions the characters are going through and what the situations are gonna be and stuff like that. And I like that with this movie there are scenes where there's not a lot of talking because it's the viewer that is the one to think of how the characters are feeling. And I think it helps to get their mind to kind of guess what could happen next in the movie. Another pro that I have is that this movie is not afraid to show their main characters getting hurt. Like in the beginning of the movie, Roz was literally like tumbling down a steep hill and landing in a nest. Like, and like the camera movement showing her falling, like it wasn't too graphic, but you can definitely tell it was really serious. The amount of times that Roz gets hurt in this movie like it's crazy to me. And I'm really glad they don't try to hide away from that, because it shows that the wildlife for Roz isn't gonna be easy. It's gonna be really complicated. And also the animal and robot battle scene where, you know, we get to see a lot of animals getting hurt. I feel like that was a realistic depiction of how it could turn out. And they weren't showing like really close up things or anything, just so you know, but you can see a lot more animals fighting. I really liked the tricks that the animals did to destroy the robots. I think that was cool. But once again, setting the tone for the setting, which I think is pretty good. And I even almost forgot to mention this, but they decided to kill off one of the, like, good characters. The leader of the geese pack, Longneck. He literally sacrificed himself to let Brightbill lead the geese pack out of the factory building. Like, I was scared he was going to die, but I didn't really expect that they were actually going to take that route. All I'm saying is Longneck deserved better in that mission, and I still think it was nice that he let Brightbill have a chance at leading the geese pack. He really did help him realize that no matter his size, he can still do whatever other things the geese can. And I think that was really nice of what Longneck did, and it's nice that the geese all honor him. Now the ending. It does end on a really bittersweet ending. I'm pretty sure you could already tell from this video. And it did kind of have a few similarities to the book ending from what I've heard, but instead of just her straight up leaving, Brightbill is still able to visit her, and she's still able to remember her life on the island, and I think that's such a sweet ending, and I love it so much. Like, that was the moment where I was literally crying so hard in that theater, man. It was... ugh. The moment where Fink was almost crying, asking Roz of what he'll do if he needs someone to talk to, and then the animals offer their help and support him, and it's just so great how far they've come to bond with each other. Like, these animals, I bet it won't take long for them to be, like, good friends. Like, they've went through this whole storm together, and them offering help to one another is already a good sign. And also it was really heartbreaking to see Roz go, but they've all helped each other out so much, and I think this island has just gotten so much better in terms of better relationships and more contact with other animals. Now for the cons. I mean, the main one that I can think of off the top of my head is that I didn't really understand the transmitter signal thing. I thought that was just a little bit confusing. I think that could have been explained a bit more of how it works and stuff, but I'm pretty sure that's just me because I don't understand robots. Also, another con, or not con, but an idea of a con that I had when I was on my way here was that we didn't get to see Finks' parents, or we didn't get to see, like, what happened to them. And I actually don't think it's that necessary to show the parents, because from what Finks says of them, we can already get a feeling, we can already tell who they were. But would it have been cool to see Finks' parents during, like, a flashback or something? Yeah, but is it really necessary? Not really. The information that was already given to us by Fink already gives us an idea of how his parents were like and how they treated him. To me, I find it a little bit confusing that Brightbill is the only one that's, like, visibly shown to look older while the other characters look the same age. But for the possums, you can just say, oh, they're probably just different children. And I would get behind that if it wasn't for some of the other animals just looking the same age. For example, Fink and the bear. I think his name is Thorn. And also the beaver that was trying to chop off the biggest tree in the forest. Like, I don't know, that was just a thing that I noticed. I'm not entirely sure of how you can make them look older without them also looking really different, but I do understand the decision of why that choice was made. But now, would I recommend this movie? Yes! I would recommend this movie to literally everybody I know. This movie deserves so much support. There were so many people in that theater, and it deserves it. It deserves the amount of love. It deserves the amount of support. But from what I've heard, unfortunately, I think this is going to be the last movie that DreamWorks is going to be animating, like, fully in their own studio before they branch out to other studios. If this really is the last, then they really put all of their hard work into the animation. I think it is really beautiful. The amount of work that these people must have taken to create this movie must have been a whole bunch. So, a few claps to the people who worked on it. Now, I'm going to say it here. In my opinion, is it better than Puss in Boots: The Last Wish? I have made a whole video just describing my love for the Puss in Boots franchise and all that, and yes, that still holds a very deep place in my heart, and I still love it to this day. But is the Wild Robot better than Puss in Boots: The Last Wish? Probably. I'm gonna say it right here, right now. Probably. I'm not saying it's completely, but there are some good things about this movie. Anyway, so my rating, 9.75 out of 10. Woo! There was also something I forgot to say in the prediction section of the video, and it was that when I was watching the trailer for The Wild Robot for the first few times, I was tearing up. And that was the first time a movie trailer has ever, like, made me, like, tear up. It looked so beautiful, and the sad moments that were shown. Also, when What a Wonderful World was playing, oh, so good. I want to hear a full cover of that. I was already thinking that, man, if I'm tearing up during the trailer, then how am I gonna be during the movie? Well, the outcome of me ugly crying in a theater was definitely a high chance of that happening. This was definitely my favorite animated movie from this year, if this movie does not win the Oscar. Man. But of course, this is just September, so we don't know what other movies could come. But I just still think The Wild Robot deserves so much love and support. I think it's just so good. And yeah, I might be repeating a lot of terms, but that's just to emphasize how much I love this movie. Anyways, that is gonna be the end of the review / rant of The Wild Robot. I hope you enjoyed listening to my opinions. Please comment down below what are your opinions on The Wild Robot. I would love to read them. I hope you enjoyed my speed drawing of Roz. I'm really proud of it, and I hope you guys think it turned out good. This was actually my first time drawing Roz, so it did take me a while to create this drawing, but I actually don't think it turned out that bad. Anyways, that is gonna be it. Please like and subscribe, and I hope I'll see you in another video. Bye!